Hi there, Ottawa. It's day 8 of the Ottawa Fringe Festival, and we're seeing a lot of really great shows tonight. And we also talked with some really great people. Watch this.
I'm Layla Sutherland, and I play Burr in our show Danty Dan.
I'm Laura Teutsch. I played Dolores in Danty Dan. The show is about 5 kids in Ireland at the side of the road, spending a very hot summer.
It's a coming-of-age story about innocence and sexual awakening, and it's done completely by youth with a professional director.
You're both members of the senior acting class, obviously. Could you tell me a bit about that?
It's a collaborative group that started, I think, 5 years ago now. Or it's the 6th year, but James has been doing it for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've both been part of it for 2 years now, and both years it's been very different groups, but it's all typically youth aged about 15 to 18, and it's very different from a typical acting class. We read really edgy plays, and we read things that are not necessarily what you'd consider appropriate, at least in terms of what you'd want youth to be affronting. But the truth is that when you read these plays, it's dealing with things that youth do have to face, or do face in some way, shape, or form in their life. So it's definitely been eye-opening as an experience, as well as very challenging.
This is a mature play. What was it like working on that?
It was completely new. Compared to doing high school theatre or really any kind of theatre, it's very different and mature, and I think it took a lot of work beforehand, just building up comfort as a company before we could even start to talk about what the intentions were and how we were going to block scenes and things like that. I think some things were toned down a bit, and other things were maybe emphasized, but I think it was all about time, and I think we were lucky to have as much time as we did to really work through all the parts of the scenes.
The hardest part for me was a kiss that I had to do with cactus. I've never kissed a girl before, so that was a hard process for me. But James, our director, was very, very supportive, and he basically just said, whenever you guys are ready, I'm not going to say, all right guys, you have to do this today. And it eventually got to the point where the other actor and I, Ainsley, we eventually just said, all right, let's do this. This is the only rehearsal we have, just the two of us. So eventually we just said, all right, let's do this, and it worked. And after the initial one, it was a lot easier than we both thought it was going to be.
You're both among some of the youngest artists at Fringe here performing. What's your Fringe experience like? I guess you're not spending too much time in the beer tent.
No, only to promote shows. It's pretty amazing.
I love it. It's so much fun. For me, this is the 4th year that I've been not necessarily part of the Fringe, but I've come to see Fringe shows. One thing that I love about the Fringe is just the community feel, and you kind of get to know other actors, and you tell them about your shows, and you go to see each other's shows, and a lot of the audience, I find, tends to be other actors in other plays at the Fringe. And it's really cool just to be able to go see lots of shows, because they're fairly cheap. So it's really cool just to be able to see lots of shows in one day and experience all different types of theatre.
Yeah, the amount of variety here is incredible, and I think the first Fringe show I ever saw was something I didn't know what to expect, and I would never have expected the show that I saw from the title. And I think that's the magic of it, is that you can go see so many shows because it's just such a concentration of theatre. It was a one-man show, and it was totally not at all what I expected, and he crowd surfed, and I'd never ever seen any theatre with someone crowd surfing. So it was very exciting, and that's the next year I joined Senior Actors, and I was in the Fringe for the first time. So it was pretty unusual theatre, but pretty amazing theatre too. Just saw this amazing show. Amazing, so good. I really liked it.
What is it called?
What is the name?
Wanderlust?
Wanderlust! Anyway, yes, it's called Wanderlust, and it's a one-man show. I guess I just keep coming back to one-man shows. And it's like listening to a story, just like someone telling you a story the whole way through, which I guess is what theater is in its essence, but it's just so...
It was fantastic.
Amazing.
He was an awesome storyteller. I just saw it as well.
Yeah.
And one guy on stage, and he kept you on the edge of your seat the entire time. It was a really good show. Definitely recommend Wanderlust.
My name's David Rowan, and I'm in 2 shows at this year's Fringe. I'm in Don't Make Me Zealous, which is playing in the Arts Court Theatre, and I am in Fringe Night Live, which is at Cafe Alt. Basically, Fringe Night Live is sketch comedy. Me and a bunch of guys got together and decided we wanted to put on a show, and we wanted to write our own sketches and just have fun with that. So that show basically revolves around having fun. So I hope that shows to the audience, and when they come out, they have fun as well. Don't Make Me Zealous, a director I'd worked with before, Matt Minter, he wrote it and wanted to put it on at Fringe, and I was very honored that he asked me to take part. And I get to play 3 characters in it, which is also fun. So both shows are great, and in terms of just Fringe in general, this is my 2nd time doing it. It's my 1st time doing 2 shows, which although hectic, it's really fun to be here a lot more and to not only be in shows, but to meet people and get to see their shows, and it really is like a really nice community. And as much as like the shows are great, it's just as great to come and hang out in the Fringe tent. So I definitely would say anyone who's thinking about coming to Fringe, try to experience the whole thing. And this year, especially with things like late night cabaret, that was lots of fun to see like a bit of different acts and things.
Who was there when you were there?
I was in it when it was there. The girl from Dead Wrong was there. She read a poem and it was hilarious. Some people that weren't even in the Fringe actually were there that had played music in some other shows I'd been in. And they had a little shtick playing, they were a French band, a Parisian band. It was hilarious. There was some puppet acts. There was a bit of everything, and it was really just, everyone was there to have a blast, and that's exactly what it was. Because it's just very different and very well done was Verna Says Surprise. I saw it, and Ken also, he gave us some advice with some of our sketches for Fringe Night Live, and he's very helpful and super kind, and it's just neat to see a different take on a play, like to watch a one-man show where he really only says one word, but you're captivated the whole time, so it's very impressive.
My name is Martin Dockery, and I'm doing a show called Wanderlust, which is about traveling to far-off places in search of an epiphany.
Great, and the show is autobiographical, they're true stories?
Yeah, it's a true story. In 2004, I went to West Africa with this idea that I would go to Timbuktu, the place that seemed farther away than any other place I could think of, and that by doing so, something necessarily cool would happen. And so it's a show about waiting for that cool thing to happen.
And did that cool thing happen?
I mean,
Spoilers.
you know, exactly, spoilers. The show is really, I feel like the show is about like lots of great moments, lots of great setups, but like life, there's no like huge payoff. In life, you have great moments that you don't suddenly find yourself in a shootout or sleeping with a prostitute or whatever these exciting things you might tell your friends about. You just sort of like almost find yourselves in these situations. So how does that translate into a story, into a show? It's a show just about wishing that big moment would happen. When it doesn't happen, then it's all about the little moments leading up to it.
And the show can only be so long. Are there any stories or events that you didn't get to include in your show that...
I mean, of course, I went there for 5 months, and so of course when you're making a show, you've got to like pare it down, got to figure out a narrative arc to make sense of it all. And it's, even some of the things that were the most profound or most exciting things that actually happened on the real trip that it took, don't make it into the show because they just don't fit, which is, could be tough. It's all about like killing your babies, deciding which of your little loved stories you gotta like cut and let go from the story.
For sure.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to develop the show?
It was about 3 weeks probably, and this was developed by standing up in front of my dog and telling my dog stories. And there's no writing; I don't write any of it down, so it's just created orally, so that during the show itself, it feels of the moment. It feels immediate, like it's happening right now. It feels conversational. while at the same time it feels like a thought-out performance. At least that's what I hope so.
Nice, and you're obviously a touring performer. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I travel for 6 to 7 months of the year, going to different festivals, performing in different places around the world. This is my first time in Ottawa, and it's pretty cool. Welcome. Thank you. That's what happens, I guess, in Ottawa. When you say the word Ottawa, someone will randomly walk by and yell out welcome. I mean,
it's true.
What a great city, right? So, so it's been great to be here.
Anything stand out that you've gotten to see or do in Ottawa so far? I know you haven't been here too long, but...
I've seen a lot of the beer tent. Which is good,
It's a good beer tent.
It's a nice beer tent. It's a real nice beer tent. And I walked around with some big, nice buildings today. But I went to the jail hostel. That's cool. This old jail that they made into a hostel, and you can go into the solitary confinement prison cell. That's cool. Well, I just saw the show Boys Are Greater Than Wolves, or Wolves Are Greater Than Boys. I can't remember which way the title goes. It's Wolves Are Greater Than Boys. Yeah. I just walked out of it. I really enjoyed that show. It was really, it was a wonderful relationship between two guys, two friends, and it's a show, it's a play about storytelling and about just this relationship, and it was funny, but there was a kind of a serious underbelly going on. I don't know. It's a really cool show. That would be my recommendation.
Hi there, Ottawa. With that, we sign off for day 8. But we will see you tomorrow. Well, unless you're watching this tomorrow, in which case we'll see you today.
Final words for Ottawa Fringe.
What do you have to tell us?
Ottawa backwards is almost the same thing. There's that. Owado. And I'm just really happy to be here. And I had a wonderful reception from audiences. People have been into the show and have come to the show, and I just want to thank them all for doing it.